back to the show. It's so glad to be with you all here today. I have a very interesting topic I want to talk about today. Help people listening get an edge when they write their college essays. Understand better how colleges view you, how colleges view students who are applying. One of the biggest misconceptions I see when I meet with parents and students is they don't understand, they don't always understand how college admissions officers view essays, view recommendation letters, view stories about students to see. And I wanted to talk about a very important topic today about the power of small moments in essays. And small moments can be very big when it comes to admissions decisions and when colleges are evaluating students. I've seen so many of my students who got into top schools because their essays didn't talk about grand accomplishments. The common application or coalition application essay, your personal statement, is not a time to talk about achievements. It is a time to talk about how to express to a college, mostly implicitly, how you can be a benefit to the college campus. You as a human being, your personality, your energy, the flavor you bring to a college. And one of the best ways to do that is talk about and express that through a small moment. What is a small moment? A small moment is any time you show an aspect of your personality through a microcosm, a small representation of a larger pattern. For example, I had a student in his essay, and this student was admitted to a few Ivy schools last year, and he talked about a conversation he had with his grandmother in which he learned more about his family history. He talked about it, how it was such a life-changing moment for him, learning more about his culture, having some misperceptions corrected about his background, his family culture. And he wrote about so humbly in his essay about how he had so much misunderstanding about his culture, about his family's history, his parents. And when he sat down with his grandmother and later on his grandfather who lived with him and learned about these things, about about correcting his perception of his family and about his history, his background, his religion. It was so enlightening for him, so enlivening and enlightening for him. He talked about how it was a life-changing moment for him. Now that gives an admissions officer reading his essay. Now remember, a lot of kids applying to Ivy League schools, high SATs, great grades, top of their class. This gives an admissions officer a chance to see his personality. One, it showed high emotional intelligence. He was willing to change his mind. He was willing to say, I once thought this, and now I learned this. Showed humility and a high EQ, willingness to change your mind, willingness to grow, growth mindset, not a fixed mindset, which is a big thing in college admissions, which I often tell my students. I see a common theme, the growth mindset that students have. Again, a growth mindset is a willingness to grow and change, and that's a high display of emotional intelligence, as I said. And his willingness to show this separated him in admissions officers' minds, I know, because that is someone they want on campus. Why? Because that's someone who can converse with others, who can learn from others, who's willing to teach others and willing to grow. And that's the willingness of his. That willingness is the kind of personality trait combined with high aptitude, high intellect, that admissions officers know they want to add to the mosaic and the heterogeneous communities that they are building on their campuses. Now, also, on this note, is many Ivy League schools and many top schools have questions about, tell us about a time that you learned something from someone else. Tell us about a time you helped somebody else change their perspective. Why do they ask these questions? Because they are subtle ways of colleges seeing if students are willing to express their ways they relate to others, their empathy, their ability to read other people, to relate to people of different backgrounds. Other schools, like Columbia University, great Ivy League school in Manhattan, top-ranked school in the country, has a question about a time that you had to learn from an experience where you maybe didn't feel comfortable, or a time that you were in a situation where you were forced to grow. They asked a different version of that question in every year in a different form. They want to see students' abilities to adapt, to learn from other people, especially if they're going to go to such a diverse campus in New York City, which is in many ways the diversity capital of the world. So they want to see that students can relate to people with different backgrounds, can learn, can grow. And again, going back to the theme here of this show, small moments, expressing small moments in your common application essay, in your supplemental essays, or essays that schools give to ask additional questions that are unique to their school. So many small moments are ways that I've seen so many of my students get into top-notch colleges writing about in their essays. And that's one of the biggest, I would say, hindrances that many top-notch students who don't work with someone like me or don't know about this, they often are wondering why I have such good credentials and I didn't get into a top school. Their recommendation letters also did not give admissions officers a chance to see ways that they relate well to others. They had high credentials, but their recommendation letters, I'm sure, were full of praise about their aptitude and their projects, but they didn't always express that other qualities. One of the X factors that colleges look for: EQ, empathy, and seeing that through small moments. And those small moments give colleges an opportunity to see larger themes, how they relate to students' goals. So I had a student who was a business aspirant, and he was admitted to the University of Michigan a few years ago. And I'll never forget, he wrote about his community essay, which is an essay they have about being on the yearbook club, and how the team had to all pitch in their different ideas. They were on a low budget. They had to figure out a way to make the yearbook better. And he talked about how he learned from others and how somebody gave a great idea and he changed his mind. It was just a great way of they could see his ability that was matched by his recommendation letters, I'm sure, based on me getting to know him and knowing how others knew him, about how he grew, about he was willing to grow from this other perspective, how he helped others in the yearbook club make the yearbook better on the low budget they had. So this is an example of small moments changing the trajectory of students' application, ways I help students shape in their application essays, and everyone listening should use in their essays and really understand the power of small moments. So so we're going to go on to the part 2 of this show. We're going to break this up in this episode, and we're going to talk about other aspects of admission secrets that help students stand out. But I hope you all enjoyed this for today. Part 2 is coming tomorrow, and I hope you all have a great day and got a lot out of this show. Have a great day.